Welcome to Unknown Theory. Today's video is part 1 of the rise and fall of social media icon, Dan Bilzerian. Today we'll talk about the theory concerning where he really got all of his money. Disclaimer, we can't confirm any of the theories or stories we talk about in our channel. All stated information is purely for entertainment purposes. Almost anyone with an Instagram account knows about this guy. But for those of you who don't know who Dan Bilzerian is, here's a brief introduction. Social media star Dan Bilzerian enjoys a very luxurious and outgoing life. He began being known as the king of Instagram after 2011, when he broke up with his then girlfriend, and decided to live his bucket list type of life. Ever since, he has dedicated his life to partying, traveling the world in private jets, having the best vacations, and having at least 10 naked supermodels with him at all times. So when his Instagram blew up, people started asking the most obvious question. Where does all this money come from? Dan Bilzerian's net worth is around 200 million, that's an awful lot for someone who is just an Instagram celebrity. Well, the reason, according to him, is because of his poker career. In 2014, Dan claimed to have made over 50 million in that year alone, a number that is incredible for anyone. So after researching for a while, we came up to the conclusion that there's no way Dan Bilzerian won that kind of money on poker, and surely not in less than a year. Online poker pro, Lauren Yell, said this: "Online players know basically every single player who plays in the biggest stakes in the world, which one would have to play in order to make anywhere near $10 million, let alone $50 million. He also said that every poker player, being online or normal, knows each other, and have played against each other all the time, and that no poker player had heard about Dan Bilzerian until a few years ago when he participated in a tournament, and not even claimed top places." When asked about all this, Dan responded by saying that he doesn't play regular professional poker, as he doesn't consider his talent of a pro. He even describes his skills as a high school level player playing against T-ball playing kids. According to Dan, he got his fortune from playing private high-stake games against celebrities and billionaires around the world. He even said that he played for a few days against a billionaire and won a total of $13.2 million.
I just distinctly remember because I won like 11 million bucks in a night. And my buddy, who I'd just given like $2,000 to, made me $1 million off it because he got second in the World Series of Poker. So I had like a $12 million week. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna take this dude down to like Puerto Vallarta with a bunch of chicks and we're gonna have fun, you know? And
but many people, including some of the most famous poker players, don't believe his fortune came from poker. When asked if he had made over 100 million in poker, Jonathan Grodenstein, a poker player who visited his home in LA. "No, I don't think he has access to that kind of money. He plays poker at really high stakes, but he's not playing in the top games with guys like Tom Dwan, or going to Macau, where $1 million pots are won and lost all the time. I think Dan is more about using poker as part of an image that he's trying to create, and I think there are a lot of people out there who will lend him a private jet, or let him test drive a ridiculous car." Even though Dan Bilzerian claims to have made his fortune from poker, many people aren't buying that statement. Even though he has in fact made millions from poker, it is nowhere 50 million or more. In fact, there is another theory as to why Dan Bilzerian became the flashy millionaire we all know and envy today. Dan was born on December 7, 1980 in Tampa, Florida, the son of corporate takeover specialist Paul Bilzerian and Terry Steffen. He grew up in an 11-bedroom mansion that was half the size of Buckingham Palace, with its own indoor basketball court, batting cage, lakefront views, swimming pool, water slide, and an imported volcanic rock mountain. Seems like a pretty great and luxurious childhood, right? Well, it was all thanks to his father, Paul, who owned a robotics company, among other investments. But when Dan was 10 years old, he received the terrible news that his father was going to prison. Bilzerian Sr. had been found guilty on 9 counts of stock and tax fraud, mostly related to a classic pump and dump operation that involved parking investments in public companies, staging hostile takeover bids, then offloading the investments as the share prices rocketed. The businessman served a 13-month sentence, and was forced to pay over $62 million which he stole. Up until today he has only paid a little over $3.7 million, as in 1991 he declared bankruptcy, which the government believed he did to hide some money for his family. Paul Bilzerian hid away his money through a number of different funds. Dan himself has admitted his dad left him a trust fund with a lot of money. The number was never announced. So the question the feds ask is, out of the over $40 million Bilzerian Sr. stole, why has he only paid $3.7 million? And the answer might have to do with Dan. After this was brought to light, most people didn't buy into his self-made poker money. Besides, as you can see, he never plays poker as a profession. All he does is live quite the life. Since then, Dan Bilzerian has amassed over 30 million followers on Instagram, and in 2017 he started his own company called Ignite, a CBD and cannabis distributing company. And this has been another very controversial part of Dan's life. But that will be a topic for our next video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't miss out on part 2.